Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Nemesis Gaming League as we are here for the first day of the grand finals. I'm excited to be here. I'm Rocker Man, Nemesis director and host for tonight's pre-show. Happy to be joined by a couple of lovely young fellas in the booth. First, we got our boy Colson, caster, and the Challenger League's top prospect. I don't know if that's a pun intended, or you gonna be the top prospect in Challenger League, or what's going on there, Colson?
I thought it was funny throwing prospect in with Challenger, but I signed up like last week.
Oh,
After
love
this
it.
is my first season casting, so I'm still getting familiar with everyone, still new faces for me to meet. But I have signed up, and I'll end up being in Challenger League. So I'm actually pretty excited to watch this Challenger matchup coming up between Griffins and Venom, because those guys will end up being my competition next season. So I'm excited to see how that one goes in particular. And it's just been fun watching all season, watching all that stuff unfold. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, it has been a fun season. It's been good having you in the booth for sure. And another guy it's been good having in the booth. We got Cog, two-time All-Star, Firestorm AGM. Cog, how are you doing tonight?
Not too bad, Rocker. Good to be on the pre-show tonight. Glad I could finally get the camera up and running, and glad that we could talk about all these grand finals nights because obviously this is the most important night of season 13, so it should be fun.
Yeah, it should definitely be fun. A very important night. And if it's an important night, you know who we gotta get in the booth. We gotta get Jaegers himself, season 4 champion, MVP, back in the booth. Jaegers, how you doing?
I'm just happy to be here, Austin. I'm excited to watch some Rocket League.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited as well. I know everyone's ready to go, roaring and, excited. We got a lot to break down. So, for tonight, folks, we're going to go on the pre show here. We're going to break down every single matchup. We're going to start with Titan and work our way down all the way to Novice. We're going to preview the matches, give you guys everything you need to know about these matches here for season 13. So we're going to kick things off in the Titan League. We have Phoenix taking on Nebula. And Cog, I'll throw it back to you here as we'll talk a little about these two teams. What can you tell us about Phoenix and how they got here?
Phoenix has had a little bit of a rocky start to the beginning of the season. They started off with a completely different roster than what they do have now, but nonetheless, they ended 12-6 in the regular season, which is good enough for the second seed in the playoffs for the Titan League, which is also first in the Eastern Conference. They were one of four expansion teams. See, in the Titan League this season, we had an expansion draft. We had 12 teams to start, and then we had an additional. We had so many signups that we had more people, and so we had four different teams sign in. So we had a little bit of an expansion draft. So they were one of those teams that kind of had a limited player pool compared to the other 12 teams, but that didn't stop them from making it here to this grand finals with Nezetic, who I'm sorry, I might have mispronounced that, but he was signed in early November, and then they traded for Dimitri, who is coming in from Gravity, and Chef from Vengaza. And so that makes up their core three, and that they've been a great solid three from the Central Division. And both of these guys are from the Central Division, so this is going to be a rematch for the Central Division title.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be an exciting show rematch for sure. I love a little rivalry between the divisions, and I gotta give a couple quick shout outs. Gotta go off track just a little bit. A couple quick shout outs to Z Warden with the sub, Mealy coming back for 17 months, and also Grebsy coming back for 19 months. Much love to all of you guys for supporting the stream as always. And yeah, let's continue on. Jaegers, what can you tell us about their opponents in Nebula?
Yeah, their opponents Nebula, they went 11-7 in the regular season, good enough for the fifth seed, third seed in the Eastern Conference, only behind Blizzard and Phoenix. They had traded for Tashega before match day one, so not really a midseason trade, but they got their roster before it started. They signed Jazzler and traded for Zinvez, who has a championship pedigree himself. Last time he won a chip was in, I believe, season 7 with the tail end of the Blizzard three-peat with Mad Max and Toxic. So he knows how to get it done.
Yeah, he most certainly knows how to get it done. He's been, like you mentioned, he's been around so many times. I mean, that guy might have the most championships appearances in Nemesis history. I mean, he's up there. He's got 4 of them, I believe, that he's appeared in. So maybe not the most, but yeah, he's pretty dang close there for sure here. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. Colson, what can you tell us about how these two teams got here through the postseason?
So Phoenix, they actually started out and they beat the Spartans in the quarterfinals. The Spartans were the number 7 seed, and they had a 4-1 win over them. And then they duplicated that scoreline against the Dragons, who were the number 3 seed in the semifinals, also taking a 4-1 win. So they haven't had to work too hard to get to the spot they're at. They have taken each of their series in 5 games, so they have been on a tear through this postseason. And then on the other side, Nebula had a 4-3 win over the number 4 seed Blizzard in the quarterfinals, and then a 4-2 win over the Grand Masters, who were the number 1 seed in the semifinals. Sorry to Ventus. He's one of my buddies. He was on that team who got beat. But Nebula's had a little bit tougher of a run to get there, but I think that's why they're such a strong team going into this.
Yeah, very fair assessment there. I'd have to agree here for sure. And Cog, I'll throw it back to you for a little bit of a match preview.
Yeah, no. So you guys are going to be able to find this game on at Wednesday at 10 o'clock. I believe it's going to be our last game of the night. Don't quote me on that, but it should be at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, assuming there's no game sevens, of course. Both these teams have gone head to head twice this season. Obviously, they're in the Central Division and they are in the same division, so they get to play twice. In the first matchup, Phoenix took it when both of their rosters were a little shaky. I'm not sure if both the rosters were completely, linked up and whatnot, but in their previous matchup on match day 18, it was Nebula who ended up upsetting Phoenix. And obviously, that didn't have much to do in the overall scheme of things, but Nebula and Phoenix both able to make it here. And the Central Division has proven to be the hardest division in Titan League this season, with both of these two teams coming at it in the grand finals.
Yeah, we got some big foes going at it here in the Central Division rematch for the grand finals. Yeah, it is going to be our final match of season 13, like Cog mentioned, Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. So you guys are going to want to make sure you stick around come Wednesday and get ready for that one there for sure. So yeah, let's throw it around. Let's throw it around the horn now. It's a fun time here. We get to make our predictions of who we think is going to take the championship there in the Titan League. So Colson, I'm going to kick it off with you here. Who do you got taking this one and bringing home the Titan League season 13 championship?
I kind of alluded to it in the schedule that these guys had to get here, and I think I'm gonna have to give it to Nebula because they did take down the Grandmasters team. I think they take it 4-2. I know Phoenix has had it kind of, I don't want to say easy because they deserved their 4-1 wins, but Nebula's really had to grind it out to get to this point. Which is why I think that they will continue to grind it out. They know they're up against it, so they're going to take it 4-2. I think I'm giving it to them.
Alrighty. Fair enough. Cog, who do you got in this one?
Although I think it's a respectable take, Colson, I'm going to have to give it to Phoenix. I think Phoenix is going to be able to take against Nebula in 7. Nebula's coming off a crazy good run in the playoffs. They were able to take down the Grandmasters, who were the number 1 seed, and they looked almost unbeatable in the regular season. Granted, they had a couple losses. Nebula was able to hand it to them. But I'm going to give it to Phoenix in 7. I really do think that Dimitri and Chef are going to be able to put on a show for us.
Yeah, those two are a dynamic duo. That's a very fair prediction there. Jaegers, what do you think? Who you agreeing with here? We got two split predictions. Who are you going with?
It's a tough one, Austin. You know, I think it's gonna come down to the wire. Game 7, Titan League, always super fun. Great way to cap off the season. I have Phoenix taking this 4-3 over Nebula. I think it'd be a great story for an expansion roster to win it all, and I think Phoenix has what it takes to get it done.
Yeah, the expansion roster has most certainly impressed there. A big shout out to Crip for getting them this far, and yeah, we'll see if they can pull it off here. You guys can see the postseason stats and a little bit of the run on the screen right now on how these two teams have performed in their playoff and postseason matches there. And yeah, I guess it's time for me to make my prediction. I am going to be on Colson's side on this one. I'm taking Nebula here in Game 7. I think this is going to be an absolutely insane matchup. I think we've got a lot of great players on the field. Zinvez, Denzi, Teshega. I mean, that was a dangerous roster. And then Dimitri and Chef, that dynamic duo has been crazy along with Nizitik. So I really think it's going to be super close. I think it could go either way, but I'm going to lean towards Nebula here for my prediction for the grand finals. But I think it's going to be an exciting one. That one, reminder, is Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. We have 3 grand finals set for Wednesday. This will be our very last one on Wednesday. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that one, and we'll continue things along here as we head into the rival league now, where we have the Gravelords taking on the Pineapples. Another great one slated for everyone here. So Jaegers, why don't you get us started with the team that everyone knows about, but you can inform a little more here. We got the big old Gravelords.
The Gravelords are having a fantastic season, Austin. Not just making the grand finals, but going 18-0 in the regular season. Some teams, went 18-0, didn't make it to the grand finals, lost round one. Other teams, they make it to the end. But Gravelords have a chance to be one of the few teams that actually complete off the perfect season. They only dropped 15 games in 18 series, which is actually absolutely ridiculous. And their team was completely drafted. They didn't retain anybody. They just built through the draft. And so far, I think it's working out for them, Austin.
I can't argue against that. I think it is I think it is working out for them there. 20 straight wins there this season, leading them to the grand finals. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they face off against this Pineapples team, Cog, that's coming in hot as well.
Yeah, this Pineapples team is no slouch. This was probably the preseason favorite coming in when everyone was 0-0 and all was talked about. I do believe that this Flashy and Flip duo was definitely one of the things to watch. And this Pineapples team was 15-3 in the regular season, which is good enough for the second seed, right behind the Gravelords, who obviously 18-0. It's hard to compete with that, but nonetheless, they only dropped 21 games in 18 series, so only 6 games more than what the Gravelords did. So neither of these teams really like to drop games when it comes to the regular season, and obviously the postseason we'll get to here in a minute. But the big thing about this Pineapples roster is that they decided they needed to make a change during the middle of the season, and they ended up acquiring Doge and Hydro RL in the hopes to push this duo of Flashy and Flip to the next level and got them to this grand finals. I think Doge was a great addition to this Flashy and Flip team, and overall, that's kind of why they are 15-3. They had a little bit of a rough patch with the roster to begin, but they've had a great end of the season, and that's why they're in this grand finals.
Yeah, most certainly. I agree. That was a big trade, and Doge, we saw him step up multiple times. Coulson, especially in the postseason, as these two teams have pushed themselves all the way to the grand finals.
Absolutely. The Gravelords coming with a 4-1 win over Distortion, which was the number 8 seed. Then 4-2 over Whiteout, which was the number 5 seed. The Pineapples in their first series went 4-0. Of course, they didn't want to drop a game in that one over Lightspeed, who was the number 7 seed, and then had a 4-3 win over the Bearcats, who were the number 6 seed.
Yeah, and both those matches, that Whiteout series especially, and that Bearcat series, were absolute bangers. Just watching those in the rival league, yeah, that Game 7 win over the Bearcats, and then that Whiteout series, it got pretty close there for the Gravelords, but they were able to squeak it out here, and yeah, bring us to this grand final showdown, Cog, happening on Wednesday.
I would love to, yes. As you said, it's on Wednesday at 9 o'clock. You can find this one just before the Titan matchup that we just talked about. You're going to find an undefeated Gravelords team that are looking to take on, like I said before, what is the preseason favorite in the Pineapples with this Flashy and Flip team. Both these teams have had some of the lowest game losses we've seen in Nemesis seasons, especially in the rival league. You're just below that Titan league. This is a super high-level league, so this only adds to the finals grand pressure. While the Gravelords did beat the Pineapples 3-1 in their regular season matchup with their new roster, I can't imagine the Pineapples are going to want to go down the exact same way.
Yeah, no, the Pineapples are most certainly going to give us a big fight here in the grand finals. And yeah, I think this might be the matchup to watch here to see if the Gravelords can complete the perfect season. Only been done 3 times in Nemesis history there, and only one other team has done the perfect 21-0. That was the Wisps back in season 10. So we're gonna have to see if the Gravelords have what it takes, or if the Pineapples can play spoiler in the very last match of the season here. So yeah, gonna be an exciting one there, 9 p.m. Eastern. But now we gotta throw it around the horn here. Let's get some predictions going here. Coulson, again, I am gonna start with you for your prediction.
I think the Gravelords do it. I think they get their perfect season. I think they have already got it with their regular season. I think they are hungry and they are going to do it in the grand finals against the Pineapples. But I think it's going to be the closest game that we've seen in rivals all season. I think it goes 4-3, hopeful for a game 7 overtime. But I think Gravelords, they haven't lost, right? Like, it's hard to bet against the thing that literally hasn't lost a single series all season. So I think it's going to be close, but I think the Gravelords squeak it out in the end and take it 4-3.
Yeah, fair enough. I agree. Hard to bet against them. Cog, are you going to bet against them? Are you going to bet against these Grave Lords?
Although I did say that it could be a little bit of a different matchup and a little bit of a different scoreline, it's probably not going to be a different scoreline. I really do think the Grave Lords are going to hand the Pineapples this loss. It's going to be 4-1 for the Grave Lords. I think that this 18-0 season is going to turn into a 21-0 season. We're going to have our second perfect team in Nemesis history.
Alrighty, fair enough. Jaegers, what do you think? We're going to see some perfection on Wednesday night?
I don't know, man. Austin Pineapples are pretty good. They got a dynamic duo of Flashy and Flip Tintin, but I don't think they go for the win. I see Gravelords finishing off the perfect season 4-2.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Again, hard to bet against 20-0 right now. And again, the Grave Lords have looked great this entire postseason run, the entire regular season. No blemishes to their name up to this point. And come Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be a tough one. But I got the Pineapples here taking the upset in game number 7. I think they can do it. I think there's some hope here. I think they have just enough to pull the upset. I think despite the Grave Lords being unbeaten so far, I think they're beatable. I think Flip 1010 is going to lock in, pull off some great performances. I'm looking to him to really lead the way there. But I've got the Pineapples pulling a little bit of the upset at the very end, but I do have it in 7. So I think, again, going to be a close series, probably going to be our best series of the grand finals, in my opinion. But we will have to see how that one's going to shake out. Again, that one Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys are following and staying tuned for that one for sure. So we'll keep things rolling along here, folks, as we are going to look on to the Challenger League Grand Finals, where we have Griffins taking on Venom here in this one. Both two teams with some great regular seasons thus far. We'll start it off with Cog here. Talk a little bit about the Griffins.
Yeah, so the Griffins have had a great season in this challenger. They ended up with a 14-4 regular season record, which is good enough for the second seed overall, ending first in the Eastern Conference, which is always a nice little pat on the back for you going into the playoffs. Their main roster dominated throughout the regular season. They only had 3 players, being Mealy, J-Rod, and Grambo, and they absolutely did. I mean, they did the best they could. I mean, they're in the grand finals. They're 14-4. It was a great regular season from them. This team, I don't know if it was specifically this team, but the Griffins did lose to Venom 4-1 in season 10, obviously 3 seasons ago, but a nice little grand finals rematch up here. And this is the 5th straight semifinals appearance at the very least for the Griffins. So this Griffins roster has a lot of potential. They have a lot of experience, and they're definitely ready to give Venom a shot for their money.
Yeah, they are, and it is slightly a different roster for the Griffins from that season 10. There is only one player returning from season 10 from that grand finals matchup, and that is Yukio, who is on this Venom squad, Jaegers, who had another impressive regular season.
I mean, Venom, I feel like I've seen them here before. 12-6 regular season record this season, 4th seed overall. They won the Mountain Division, and they were the 2nd seed in Western Conference, only behind Dissolved, who they ended up actually beating in the semifinals, and they're looking for a record 5th grand finals victory.
Yeah, no, it's a scary team. They got the plot armor somehow. Venom, they just find a way, no matter what, no matter how, they make it to the grand finals, and they usually find their way to a victory here, Colson. And how do these two teams get here through the postseason to make it to the grand finals?
The Griffins took a 4-2 win over the number 7 Bishops to start themselves out, and then they got a 4-1 win over the Wraiths, who were the number 3 seed. And then Venom went 4-1 over the number 5 seed Raptors, and then a 4-3 win over the number 1 seed in Dissolved.
Yeah, some crazy matches as well in the Challenger League, I have to add, because I mean the upset over Dissolved was crazy. That was one of the most insane matches. I know, Colson, you had fun forecasting that one. I mean, that was a crazy matchup right there to get that win. And the Griffins, when they're on, they can look really good there, and we saw them perform really well. Jaegers, I'll throw it back to you. What can you give us for a little match preview here?
Absolutely. The second seeded Griffins are looking for their first chip, whereas Venom is looking to break the tie with the Melons for most championships all time in Nemesis. Last time Griffins were in this position, Fort, who's currently on Venom, was on the roster. Are Griffins going to be able to get there first, or will Venom keep their trophy case empty and search for the record?
Hmm. That is a great question, and honestly, I don't know who's gonna figure it out, but I guess it's got to be us. We're gonna have to figure it out here, and we'll start once again with Mr. Colson. Colson, have you figured out the answer to this question about who's gonna take the championship?
I have been wrong many times before. Some say I have the worst caster cursing record in the Nemesis League, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. Just like in Titan League, I gotta go with the team that beat the #1 seed, and that team in this run was Venom. I think it's gonna be close. Griffins is no slouch of a team, but right now Venom looks like the team to beat, especially with that really long series, like you were saying. It was a 4-3 win over the #1 seed. I think Venom do the exact same thing to the Griffins and take this one 4-3.
Alrighty, Cog, what do you got in this one?
Yeah, I think it's super hard to bet against Venom. I mean, they have been to this grand finals, especially with Fort and Yukio having this chemistry together. I can't see Venom not taking home a record-breaking fifth trophy. So I'm going to give it to Venom in 6. They're going to beat the Griffins 4-2.
Alrighty. Jaegers, who do you got in this one?
I'm not really that big of a trend follower. I think Griffins are amazing melee, great season, plays really fast, but I guess I am following a trend because I'm taking Venom in 7. I think it's going to be a great series, a lot of back and forths. Uh, I think it comes down to the wire, and I see Venom taking it.
Alrighty, fair enough. It is hard to bet against another team that's won 4 times already, looking for their 5th here. But again, I'm gonna do it once more. I'm picking the Griffins in this one. I think they have what it takes here, as long as they don't double commit. I was talking to Grambo. I said, just don't double commit, and you guys got a great chance here. If they can do that, I think the Griffins can take this one. I've got the Griffins in 6 here. I think they're just gonna be a little too solid, but again, don't be surprised. This Venom team, the plot armor, they somehow find a way. So I think that one is gonna be another exciting matchup. That one's gonna be our first one on a Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys are following the channel and are ready for that one. At 8 p.m. Eastern on a Wednesday. And yeah, let's continue on and let's start talking about our matchups that we are going to see tonight. Starting with Gladiators versus Origin, our second grand finals of the night here. Let's talk about this one. Jaegers, what can you tell us about the Gladiators?
Yeah, they had a 13-5 regular season record. They did pretty good in the beginning of the season, and then they just got better, picking up Brindy after the 4-game free agent area pickup. They were second seed in the Western Conference, only behind the Rooks #1, and I don't know, they just been playing really, really solid ball this season, and I think they did well to get here.
Yeah, no, some solid ball for sure to make it here. You don't get to the 2 seed for no reason there. So definitely a great regular season. And Cog, I'll throw it to you. What can you tell us about on the other side, their opponents in Origin?
Yeah, I'm sure Rockerman's happy to see one of his teams here in Origin. Origin started off this season 0-4. I'm going to have to iterate that a couple times because this has been an insane season for them. They did almost a complete roster wipe. They ended up keeping Ad Tyso and scrapping the rest of the house, picking up Vokes and Slays after that waiver wire in match day 4. And they had an 11 season regular season record. Like I said, started off 0-4, so that new roster ended 11-4. Mind you, some of them might not have been there for some of those losses, but in their previous matchup with in the semifinals, I should say, they didn't have Ad Tyso, who was there for that 0-4 run. They had Wafarium, who was their sub, who they had never played with, and they ended up taking that semifinals match in a clean sweep. This Origin roster is not to be messed around with.
If I do say so myself, I completely agree there. They cannot be messed around with. No bias, of course, there. But yeah, no, definitely a great regular season, a good turnaround for them here. And Colson, both these teams made some impressive runs to make it here to the grand finals.
Absolutely. One a little bit more impressive than the other, but I'm going to go over them real quick. I think Gladiators had a great run, winning 4-2 over the Bandits, and they were the number 7 seed, the Bandits were. And then they had another win over Hypernova, who were the number 5 seed. They took them 4-3. And then we have Origin. I know there's a soft spot in your heart for that one. They had a 4-1 win over the number 4 seed in the Vipers, and then had a 4-0 sweeping win over Faded, the number 8 seed, but they were playing with a sub. Origin has had a phenomenal postseason run.
Yeah, they have so far, and both these teams well deserving to make it here, Cog. What can you tell us about the match preview?
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about the match again tonight at 9 o'clock. You're not going to want to miss that. It's right after this 8 o'clock game that we get coming up here shortly. Neither of these teams had the hottest start to the season. However, the Gladiators picking up Brindy the Blade after that match day 4 makes them look almost unstoppable. They have about the exact same record as the new Origin team does. Origin picking up those 2 crucial pieces in Vokes and Slays definitely has turned around their entire season. Both of these teams have a lot more chemistry now. Origin took their first matchup 3-1, but we're definitely looking for a lot of boxing gloves thrown tonight.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a battle for sure here. 9 p.m. Eastern tonight, Gladiators versus Origin. I'm super excited to get ready for that one. And it's most certainly gonna be an intense showdown in the Prospect League. So make sure you guys are sticking around again for that one. But let's bring it around the horn here. Let's talk about this one here. Let's get some predictions going here. Let's kick it off with Colson here once again. Colson, who do you got taking this one?
This one is one of the closest actually for me, and I've actually been going back and forth, just thinking in my head. I've actually been changing in this document. I've been going 3-4, 4-3. Who's going to come out on top? But at the end of the day, I think Gladiators will take it 4-3. I'm so sorry, Rockerman, to bet against you and your squad, but I think that I'm going to have to end up with the Gladiators on this one.
Hey, that's fair enough. I mean, this Gladiators team is very dangerous. I have no ill will because they are a very scary squad, and that is a very very valid pick here. Cog, who do you got taking this one?
Look, I've been hyping them up the entire process, the time entire we've been talking about prospects. So I got to go with Origin. I got a lot of love for those Gladiators guys, but I think Origin's going to be able to take this in 6 games, 4-2.
Alrighty, fair enough. Jaegers, who do you got in this one?
You know, it's a tough one to call. I know players on both sides. It's going to be a really close series, and I've been going through it trying to figure out which one I want to pick. I do see it going down to the wire. I think it's going to be a game 7 overtime type situation. I do see Origin taking it for their first chip since season 4, but I mean Gladiators are not going to make it easy at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's gonna be an intense series all the way through here, and we'll have to see who's gonna come out on top. I of course gotta go with Origin in this one for my prediction. I'd probably get fired as GM if I didn't pick Origin. But I do think it's gonna be an intense matchup. Again, the Gladiators are a crazy good team here. 2 seed, and that dynamic trio there is going to be super tough. But I think Origin, they have what it takes to make things happen here, and we'll see what they're going to be able to do tonight on that matchup at 9 p.m. Eastern, our second and final grand finals match of tonight. And now we got to slide on over to our matchup that is coming up in just a few minutes here. Let's take the final preview of the Novice League here, where we have Diffusion taking on Gorgons here in this one. It's going to be another spicy one happening right after this pre-show, so you guys are going to want to stick around for sure on this one. But let's talk a little bit briefly about these two teams. I'll start with you, Cog. What can you tell us about Diffusion?
Yeah, Diffusion has a super strong start of the season. I'm pretty sure they started off a crazy 18-0 game record wise. They ended up the regular season 11-3. They had a lot of roster changes going on. They started off the season with Lucky, ended up having to release Lucky for some personal matters. Signed Royalty. The things with Royalty didn't work out, availability issues. So now they picked up Mallow, and with Mallow, they have made it all the way to this grand finals, and they are looking to take it home.
Yeah, they are looking to take it home. I mean, a great season for sure. One of the best in Nemesis this season. And they're going off against the team that was second best in the Novice League, Jaegers, the Gorgons.
Yeah, no, Gorgons also had an identical 11-3 regular season record, second seed overall. Uh, all the players were drafted except Kadofi, who was re-signed. Gorgons had a really good season, really good players on Gorgons, especially one to shout out is Demoralized. Do not play ones against the men and expect it's gonna be an easy matchup.
Yeah, no, that guy. I mean, he lives up to his name. I mean, it's demo in all caps. We're gonna see that guy
Yep.
demoing everyone in his path here tonight. In just a few minutes, we'll be seeing him take the pitch for that team there. Colson, I'll throw it to you. What can you tell us about the two runs through the postseason for these two grand finalists?
So these two guys, they've had really short runs. They were the number one and number two seed. Uh, they started in the semifinals. They got a 4-1 against the number six team in the Crows. Then the other ones, they finished a 4-0 against the Vandals, a number five seed. So even though they had shorter runs, they were dominant in the semifinals. They came out on top in their respective games. And it's hard to bet against them. Even though they had short runs, they deserve to be in the finals.
Yeah, they do deserve to be in the finals for sure here, and we're gonna see what they are made of here in this one, and it's gonna be an exciting one for sure here. I'll throw it back over to you, Colson, again for a little short match preview.
Quick match preview. We have Diffusion Sub Zero, Div, and Mallow going against Gorgons, Demoralized, Gaddafi, and Zaya. Last week they played with their cook their sub JM Cook, and they still were able to come out on top. So if Gaddafi is playing, it could be an even stronger roster that will be playing against each other. In the regular season, they are tied 1-1 in games against one another. At the beginning of the season, Diffusion took a 3-0 win against the Gorgons, and then at the end of this season, actually, Gorgons took a 3-1 against Diffusion.
Yeah, these two teams have battled it out in the regular season, and now it all comes down to this for the Novice League Grand Finals. Let's throw back one more time here around the horn. Colson, again, I just love talking with you. I want to hear your prediction, Colson. What do you got for us here to close out the Novice League season?
Kept on kicking it back to me. Flip actually wanted to come in here too. I saw him for a second take my spot, but I'm going to take it with the Gorgons. I think if they have a full roster, I think they take it 4-3 over Diffusion.
Yeah, they are very solid. I did bring you Flip a little bit early there. You know, he's waiting. He's waiting in the wings here. I think that's the second season in a row I did that. So we'll have to remember for next time to, to not get Flip in so early. I know he's so excited to see the Novice League Grand Finals. We'll hear from him in just a sec. But Cog, who do you got taking this one?
Listen, I've played with Dib before. I know Sub-Zero has been a staple in the Novice League for a couple seasons now, and Mallow returning. Although this Gorgons roster did 3-1 them at the end of the season, we're not going to take that away. We're going to give it to Diffusion in 7.
Alrighty, fair enough. That's going to be a good one there. Diffusion in 7 on that one. And Jaegers, what do you got for us here?
There's been a lot of close ones that we've predicted. I don't think this one necessarily is going to be a close one. I do see the Gorgons taking this one 4-1. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's a good series, but I mean that's my prediction.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. You gotta predict it with your heart, Jaegers. That's what you gotta do. You gotta follow your heart there, and that's what his heart's saying. And my heart is saying also to follow the Gorgons here. As much as I also love Mallow here and want to see him win a chip, I think the Gorgons, they've been so solid this season. I think they've got what it takes here to finish things off here. So I'm gonna rock with the Gorgons here on this one, taking the grand finals victory. Again, it's gonna be another great one here. So I'm excited to see how it all turns out, and I know everyone else is too. So make sure you guys are sticking around. We're gonna fire up a prediction for you guys here for this one. Obviously, grand finals is coming your way right now here. So again, sit back, relax, get ready for all the action. And I'm going to throw it over to Flip and Chunk up in the booth here for the grand finals. Flip, why don't you take it away?